They say the past never stays buried. Every mistake, every betrayal, it lingers in the quiet places, waiting to resurface when you're at your weakest. For Aria, it began with an invitation and a promise. Proof of life after death. A second chance to rewrite her name in the world of the living. But some doors, once opened, don't lead to redemption. They lead to reckoning. The Black Hollow Séance Parlor stood like a forgotten relic from another time. Its once elegant Victorian exterior was weathered and cracked, ivy twisting up its walls like veins feeding an ancient beating heart. The windows were boarded up, but faint candlelight flickered through the cracks. For a long moment, Aria just stood there. She'd read the stories, how people left this place but never whole. She almost turned back. Almost. But she wasn't here out of bravery. She was here out of desperation. The truth was simple. Her career was in ruins. She'd been disgraced by the scandal of a faked haunting, a lie she had been too proud to deny. If she didn't leave this place with proof, she'd be finished. The door swung open as though it had been waiting for her. The air inside was thick with the scent of burnt incense and old wood. The walls were draped in heavy red velvet curtains embroidered with spirals, Ouroboros and eyes, stitched patterns that seemed to watch from the shadows. And there she was. Madame Celeste stood at the center of the room, tall and graceful, her silver-streaked hair tied back in an ornate twist. Her eyes didn't blink like they should. They were too still. "You came because you want answers," she said, her voice like a blade wrapped in silk. Aria's throat felt tight. She nodded. Celeste's smile was thin, more warning than welcome. "The dead don't speak," Celeste whispered, "unless they're owed something." The seance room was circular, with a single round table at its center. Symbols were carved into the wood, spirals that seemed to pull the eye inward, deeper and deeper, until dizziness set in. Candles lined the room, their flames shivering against invisible breath. Aria set up her camera, focusing on the lens, adjusting the angle, anything to stop thinking about the eerie hum that filled the room. Celeste sat across from her, calm and poised. "Are you ready?" Celeste asked. Aria didn't trust her voice. She nodded instead. The word yes felt too dangerous to say aloud. Celeste's voice filled the room, weaving through the air like smoke. The candle flames dimmed, shrinking as though suffocating. A shape emerged from the shadows. Faint at first, but growing clearer. Aria's breath caught in her throat. It was him. Her mentor. The man who had lifted her out of obscurity. Before she pushed him down to rise higher. His eyes, once full of quiet pride, were now hollow. "Why didn't you stop it?" he whispered. "Why did you let me fall?" The words pierced through her. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She told herself it wasn't real. It couldn't be. But the chill pressing against her chest said otherwise. The air thickened. Another shadow began to rise. It was her former assistant, the one who had begged her to stop the investigation before it became dangerous, the one who hadn't made it out alive. Her voice was soft but bitter. "You said you'd protect me. You lied." The table groaned as though it was alive, bearing the weight of grief and anger. The symbols carved into its surface began to pulse with a dim crimson light. Aria's mind screamed at her to run. But it wasn't fear that kept her there. It was guilt. Behind the mirrors were distorted reflections, versions of Aria, hollow-eyed and sharp, twisted by ambition. And then, the third spirit stepped forward. It was her sister. Her face was pale, her eyes heavy with disappointment instead of rage. "Do you even remember the last words you said to me?" her sister asked. Aria's breath shuddered. She tried to remember, but the memory had slipped away, buried beneath deadlines and distractions. Celeste's voice was soft but sharp. "They didn't come to haunt you," she said. "They came to reclaim what you owe." The Ouroboros symbols along the walls glowed with an eerie, writhing light. Aria's voice broke. "What do you want from me?" Celeste's smile returned, colder than before. "Everything," she whispered. The spirits surrounded Aria, their forms flickering like dying embers. Her sister's voice cut through the chaos. "Tell the truth," she said. Tears blurred Aria's vision as she whispered, "I was afraid of being nothing, but I didn't realize I'd lose you trying to be something." The room trembled. The symbols on the walls dimmed as the spirits began to dissolve into soft, fading light. The candles flickered once and went out. Aria woke in the seance room, alone. The table was gone. candles had melted to nothing but wax. Her camera lay shattered on the floor, its lens cracked. She stumbled toward the door. Outside, dawn was breaking. The sky tinged with gold as though nothing had happened. But Aria wasn't sure if she had survived. Or if she was simply part of the cycle now. The past doesn't haunt us for revenge. It haunts us for truth. But when the ghosts of your choices finally call your name, what will you say? Will you defend yourself? Will you ask for forgiveness? Or will you finally speak the words you were too afraid to say? The echoes of the past don't fade away. They only grow louder until you listen. If this story made you question what you owe to the past, leave a like and share your thoughts. Subscribe to the Fear Archives for more stories of reckoning, redemption, and the shadows that follow us home. And remember, not every haunting begins with footsteps in the dark. Sometimes it begins with you.